Hi, I'm Nick and this is the TBT channel. Welcome to this video with my chickens as usual and a new gun. It's a new gun, it's not a new gun, it's an old gun, but it's new to me. Possibly the most exciting gun I've had in a while, certainly right up there with my Luger. Now, if you saw my Luger video, then you will know that my love for the Luger, my desire to own a Luger goes back to reading the book Machine Gunners when I was at school. Thank you to everybody who replied to that video, by the way, telling me it was the Machine Gunners. I'm reading it at the moment. It's actually, I'm really enjoying it. So thank you so much for doing that. But like a lot of the things we love as adults, it comes from a love we had as children. The Luger was something I was fascinated by because of that book. And cowboy guns is another thing. Now, cowboy guns, to me, it goes back to before school. I'm sure it does for a lot of us. I grew up in rural Essex. And it was an isolated community, less so now. Burnham on Crouch, less so now. But when I lived there till the age of 11. So from a baby to 11, it was a small community. And I remember my dad coming home once and saying to my mum, there's Indians moved into the estate up the road. I was terrified. I went running into the kitchen because I'd overheard, I was earwigging as usual. I'd overheard, I went running and said, are they dangerous? I thought there was going to be wigwams and horses, bows and arrows, all of that lot. Such was my obsession with cowboys and Indians. Now, my first gun, I'm sure many of us, our first gun, possibly the most important guns we had, come out, were cap guns. I've got one here. I bought this a short while ago when we were in, sorry, trigger discipline, shouldn't have my finger on the trigger. Bought this a little while ago when we were down in Spain in a toy shop. It's just in a toy shop. We went in there to buy some bits for the granddaughters. I saw this, it's like, you know, I want a cap gun, so I bought a cap gun. And it is brilliant. It's made by a company called Goner or Gonher or something. It's just a die-cast lightweight metal thing, but it's got a release there. Look at it, it's a top brake pistol, and it takes the that's impressive, it takes the plastic caps that are in a ring. Now when we were kids, they were the great ones. They were so loud, but they were quite expensive, and most of my guns had to make do with the little paper rolls that went bang 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 bang, and a bit came out the top, and you had to keep tearing it off so it looked authentic. But it's double action only, the trigger, which is going to have an effect on accuracy, I feel, but we'll test that another time. But cap guns, the reason I'm showing you that is because my absolute most favouriteest cap gun was a Winchester repeater like this one here. It was an Underlever repeater cap gun. I don't think you had to actuate the mechanism to make it fire, but I remember it being just the best thing I had. My friend Jason had actually, no, Matthew Reed, he had a cap gun double barrel shotgun. You, like a proper shotgun, opened it like that, the barrel went down, you put two caps there, closed it, bang bang, you had to do it again. That was cool, but not as cool as my cowboy gun. So my obsession with cowboy guns goes back to then. Possibly my obsession with shooting, possibly my obsession with guns altogether, who knows? It's the things that happen when we're children that shape the way we are. And I used to enjoy playing cowboys and Indians with my cowboy gun. And now I have one. Now this isn't the first one I've had. Apart from my cap gun, there was quite a gap between my cap gun and then my next lever action rifle. Probably when I was 17 or 18, I was a young adult, an old youth, a youth. I was, and I was in a gun shop, and there was a Daisy 1894. Now the Daisy 1894 is a similar design to the Red Riders and things like that. They're basically the BB guns that most of the world gets as their first gun. Certainly in America, everybody gets it. You're born, happy christening present is a BB gun. But this one actually was a reproduction of an 1894, albeit made out of CAC materials and plastic. It wasn't very expensive, wasn't very powerful, only 5 BBs, and eventually broke through use. I just shot tin cans with it until it stopped working. But it was great, I absolutely loved it. And then there was a bit of a hiatus again, good word, until I got a Korea 707. Now the Korea 707 is Korean, I believe, in manufacture. Capable of, certainly in my hands, a whopping 97 foot-pounds, but at that power, absolutely no accuracy. And it was a lever action. I think it was a 10-shot, and it had a comedy magazine on the side there. Amongst the comedy engravings, it had engravings of boar hunting scenes and things like that on an air rifle. But the comedy magazine was a spring-loaded square tube affair, and you pulled the spring back, locked it into position, dropped all your pellets in line inside of there, and then as you went to put it into there, the little lever would pop up and the spring would shoot forward, all your pellets go into the grass. Hilarious. But apart from that, it was an okay gun, not bad at all. After that, I had a, what are they called now? What are they called? It wasn't the Korea, it was the Shingtong No. I've forgotten the name of it now. It was another one, it'll come to me. It was another one very similar in design to the Korea, except it had a rotary magazine on the top, 6-shot rotary. So you put the, no, it nearly came to me there. You put the pellets into that, much better design, and you could use longer pellets because these were designed for much higher power. And that was brilliant. In fact, I loved that gun. I used to use that gun as my primary hunting air rifle for quite a considerable time. I've got a photograph somewhere of me and my, not me, just the gun, leant up against the Cornish stone wall, and my dog Oscar on the top. I'll have to see it. I might make that my thumbnail if I can find it, but he used to come with me shooting, and absolutely Shinsung? No. Anyway, that was a great gun, and that went away. And then the one I had after that, the other air rifle I had after that was the Korea, not Korea, why do I keep saying Korea? The Parker Hale Phoenix, or the Pax. I think one was the Pax Phoenix because it was a little later than the Parker Hale version, which was a very grown up version of an underlever rifle. Probably too grown up, which is why I didn't keep it. I preferred things to look a little bit childish, a little bit silly. Hence the t-shirts. These are t-shirts, by the way, not pyjamas. People often mistake me for an adult because of my age, but I refuse to do that. You can mock me for it if you like. I don't actually mind, it doesn't bother me, but these aren't pyjamas. If I see material I like with Batman on it or with dinosaurs on it, I'll say to my wife, I'll get that, and she'll make me a t-shirt out of it. So live with it, she does. We moved to France after that, and the difference is here we can get the actual real powder burning cowboy guns, lever action guns, much easier. We don't need a specific license for them. As long as you're a member of a club, you can have pretty much whatever you want, as long as it's mechanically operated. You don't have to say, oh, I want this caliber because of this or that. You just go for it. So a few years back now, I bought a Marlin CS 1894. Now this was a fantastic underlever rifle. The Marlins are really good, and this was pre-Remington, so the quality was exceptional. The build quality was brilliant, the accuracy was great. It was actually a side ejector, so you could put a scope on it. This is a top ejector, so you can't. So you could have a scope on it, and the accuracy was phenomenal. But the problem I had was, though the gun itself was a category C weapon, i.e. I'm allowed to shoot it here in my garden, because it was a 38/357, the ammunition itself is category B. So the ammunition can only be used at an approved site or inside the house. I've done a video about the different categories in France. If you're interested, have a little search back through for that. You might find it interesting. So I couldn't use 38/357 in the garden, as I only really wanted it as a plinking gun for tin cans. It wasn't a lot of use, so I got shot. I thought it wouldn't take me long to get another one. You know, they're like buses. The one will be along in a minute. Christ, that was years ago. And it was only a week or two back that I saw this when I took the FX rifle down that I'd repaired. This was on the shelf, so it came home with me. This is a Rossi 1892. Now, the numbers that are associated with all of these rifles from 1866 onwards, it relates to the year they were manufactured or the year they were possibly patented. I don't know. There's small differences between each one. I'm not going to go into that because basically I don't know it. And there's a lot of historical videos on YouTube with people who do know what they're talking about. They can tell you exactly, whereas I would get everything wrong. So this is an 1892. This is made by Rossi, which is a Brazilian company. They're not of the same quality as a Marlin or a Winchester, but it's okay. I only want it for plinking. It doesn't really matter. It's nicely made. The action was very stiff when I got it. It's much, much slicker now, although that first little bit there is still a bit grindy, graunchy. There's a small spring-loaded detent there. It's like the chisel detent on a Virart break barrel air rifle, and that's spring-loaded, and that needs to come out, have all the crud taken out of there, be lubed up properly and put back in again. Then that will be a lot nicer on that part of the action there. I might do that on video, I might not. But it's a Rossi one. The quality's not the same as the Marlin, but it's okay for me. It's in 44 Magnum, which is great because 44 Magnum is a category C ammunition, which means not only is this a category C gun that I can use in the garden, but category C ammunition, 44 Magnum, I can also use in the garden. So I can use this for plinking tin cans, which is great. Now, I already reload for 44 Magnum. Again, if you've watched the videos in the past, you will have seen this. This is my empty Smith & Wesson model 29-2 with a 6.5-inch barrel. This is the Dirty Harry Magnum. Made in 1973, about the same time as the films. This is as close to the one in the film as you will ever get. It is identical in every way. And it's fantastic. It's lovely. I reload my own rounds for it. A factory round is very, very powerful, but it gives a lot of kick. I don't know if you remember in the film, but when I think it's the one with David Soul in it. I can't remember the name of that particular film, but they have a go with this gun. Oh, what loads? You say, I'll reload my own. I do my own 44 specials for accuracy. I make my own 44 specials for accuracy as well. And here is one. I take the lead from the range, bring it home, melt it. I cast my own bullets, reload my own ammunition. It's on 6 grains of BA9 powder, and it's a nice, light, accurate load. But I cannot use it in this gun because this is a tubular magazine. So the bullets go in there, okay? And when you push it in, the next one pushes it along and they go into that bottom tube. But the problem is, of the rounded end, because there's a rounded tip to that end there, if you have 2 of them in the gun like that, when the gun fires, you get recoil, everything shuffles and moves around, that's going to go bang into that primer and it's going to detonate all the ones in the tube, which is a bad thing. We don't want that to happen. So what I did was bought myself some jacketed flat soft tip, or something like that they're called, 240 grain bullets, which I've put over the same 6 grain charge as I use in the pistol. But because that's got a flat top on it, that is actually larger than the primer. So any recoil inside of the gun, it's going to hit around the edge of the primer, not into the primer, therefore it won't detonate. Now the 44 Magnum lever action is known as the rifle that can kill at both ends. I'm going to be testing the power. We're going to be shooting these in a minute. I'm going to be testing the power of these with 6 grains in there. What I'm after is a subsonic bullet, 240 grains traveling at around 1,000 feet a second or less. I don't want to knacker my shoulder. I don't want to upset the neighbours. I don't want to, you know, supersonic crack is more than you need for shooting tin cans. I just want a nice gentle round for doing so. But I do have some factory rounds as well that we're going to test. Now the factory round I don't know what this factory round is going to produce. We're going to test that as well. But when you're reloading, if you're reloading 44 Magnum for rifle, you can take it up to higher pressures because it's got a lot more strength. You can take a higher pressure in this than you can in the revolver. So this will go up to around 2,000 foot-pounds with a factory round. We don't know what this one will be. Maybe 1,000, maybe 1,500. I honestly don't know. We'll chrono it in a minute. We'll find out. But what happens is when you get 2,000 foot-pounds going that way, is it Newton's third law that every action has an equal and opposite reaction? You've got a certain amount of force coming back. Now, when you shoot big caliber guns, they're usually very heavy. And they're usually very heavy for a reason. And that reason is the heavier the gun is, the less it moves backwards. This is an exceptionally light rifle. It's a carry all day, absolutely brilliant. Stick it on the horse won't mind. But when you're firing full fat rounds through it, it's a painful experience. So I will test, this is just a Cellier and Bellow handgun round, but we'll see what that does through there. We're going to test a couple of rounds through the chronograph, and then we're going to shoot some reactive targets to see what happens if you hit something with a little bit of force. And I think that's what we'll go and do right now. I'm going to start off with a factory handgun load for this caliber. So I think I've already mentioned it's the Cellier and Bellot into there. Okay, that is 1,624.5 something and 1,406.2 of the other. I've got which way round it is. It's either 1,400 feet a second and 1,600 foot-pound, or vice versa. Let me find out. So yeah, the top one was a foot-pound, 1,400 foot-pound, 1,600 feet a second. Now let's try with one of my home rolls. The surprising thing there was how comfortable that was to shoot. I know it was only 1,400 foot-pounds, but I was expecting more of a kick. Right, put another one, 130, 133. So, clear that. 133 foot-pounds. Now, it was nice and quiet. It's tempting, but I think I need to work out a charge with a little bit more than that. This is my 130 foot-pound load. That's sad, isn't it? A bottle of water gently bleeding out. Right, let's try the other. Let's see if 11 times the power has an effect on the stopping power of the bullet. Oh, where'd that go? It's nice to get in out of the sun into the shade. 130 foot-pounds, this one. The bullet went in one side and it came out of the other. I tell you what though, it was a quiet round. I'm going to have to try some decibel watch. I am going to make more of these at that speed because it could just be that they're quiet enough just for normal garden use. I'll do some decibel meter readings on those. But realistically, I want it up much higher than that. I want it to 1,000 foot-pounds. So this was with 6 grains of powder. I'll be working my way up on my indoor testing range, which isn't so exciting. But my indoor testing range to get it up to that, but I may keep some of these for garden use. That one on the other hand, well, that was 1,400 foot-pounds. It's not the full power 2,000 foot-pounds that you can get through these rifles. It's sufficient, you know, it's 1400 foot-pounds is enough for most situations. I think even maybe a 3-litre bottle would be able to be destroyed with that. As you can see, the entry point is actually there. That's the entry. If we put that together, you'll see there is the hole. But what happened was hydrostatic shock. And that's what happens if a projectile is traveling fast enough. Not necessarily the power, it's the speed, but if it hits something fast enough, anything hydro that it hits that's wet, that's a liquid or a gel, all the energy just goes out. There's no, you can't compress a liquid, so it just splits, it just bursts out from everywhere, and that's what's happened to this. Now, I haven't seen the slow-mo yet because I'm still here in the garden, but when I get back I'm going to try and do a slow-mo on that. But I have to say, if 4-year-old me saw me playing in the garden with my cowboy gun, I think he'd be pretty chuffed about it. And that's it for this video. We'll go into more at a later date. Please like, subscribe, hit notifications, and I'll see you all again next time. Thank you, goodbye.